Hey, what's up, everybody? Video number 3 on our deck archetypes and what we would do to make them stronger or better or whatnot. And we're moving on to lightning. So, where does lightning fall in? We looked at what's considered by most community the worst deck that can get way better, being water. But again, water's a great element. Water has really strong cards, but in this meta of these 5 decks, it's the weakest, and fire is probably the strongest in this meta with a little bit of counterplay from earth. I think lightning falls into like a B plus A minus section. It's a I would say it's a great mid range kind of strategy where it's got some aggro play and it's got some great late game control play. It's got a ton of removal. It's got a good aggro body. It's got good mid range bodies. I think it just falls right in that perfect mid range kind of setup. So, what's good in this deck? Starting with Imperial's great. Expend 2, destroy a card opponent's field, and it's a big beater. Imperial's a great card. Thunderbolt to Zeus is a great aggressive card if we're trying to, burn out our opponents. Amp Up is a solid card because ideally we have a third one so we can expend one and just basically just get them out of our deck and thin our deck out and use our extra amp ups later on for our Lycavolt. Lycavolt will become 9/6 with it, pretty strong. Boombat is a top tier 1-drop creature. Just so worst case scenario, you play Boombat, disenchant it, kill something. So you're spending your summon to destroy something. So if you go, let's say you start your turn with like turn 1 you play. Oh man, there's no real good defensive cards in the deck. Let's say you play the Foamy and you get your Foamy out. So you have a Foamy and you start your turn, they have something. And you follow up with like Boombat, destroy it, still have Foamy into play to hit them with something. That works, Theoretically, you have something better than Foamy at that point. But Boombat's great to just be like, oh, you have a threat that I can't answer right now. Boombat, I still have my 1 or 2 drop and play next to it, and I use my summon to kill something for 1. Very strong card. Zeus is alright. He's a little bit of a combat trick. Pandora's Box, one of. I wouldn't run 2. Tsunami in this deck is a little bit of a sleeper. So we have some water support in this deck, which is honestly in the mid-range strategy of this deck, having the water support is not bad because we have the Foamy to get Foamy. Foamy can get Veritaqua if your opponent swings. Like that, the water support package isn't terrible, and you can always misenchant something like a Signatric or an Imperial, and then pop a Tsunami with a water element on it, so you can just knock something out in your opponent's board. I like that idea. We might clean it up a little bit. Spark It is a fun card. There's only one of, so you can't really expect the Spark It to do the whole discard control thing, but you can theoretically lock your opponent out with Spark It. I think Gadabolt's really strong. It's just, pump spells. Great. Oh, we have 2 Spark It's, my bad. I still don't think Spark It's the best at what it does. The deck's not really focused around that kind of strategy. Ash Rabbit, as I said in my last video, it's a solid filter draw card. Jolton gets you your arena, stadium. It's okay in this deck. Part of the thing I think Jolton getting Mount Olympus is okay in this deck is because we want to kind of put some water just for backup with Tsunami on our cards with this deck. But we could theoretically get rid of Tsunami and do something else with it. Having a Thunderstorm is alright. Knocking out a Rune can really blow out your opponent. Having 2 Nog is great. Circle Sky is alright. Having Tornado is fine. I think because we're in Lightning, we would drop the Tornado for another Thunderstorm. That's just my opinion. But what would I take out of this deck to try and improve it? And this is, I think, the hardest deck to figure that out with. But the first 2 things I would remove is probably Pandora's Box and Tornado, because we have P-Gust, and we don't need more than 1 Pandora's Box. So we have a lot of rune removal, so having a P-Gust, we don't need the extra Tornado. We could probably drop it since Lightning likes to destroy runes. I think leaving the 1 Tsunami in, being at we're a little mid-rangey, is good. 1 Pandora's Box, 1 Shield of Achilles. I'm not going to take Shield of Achilles out. Shield of Achilles is a great blowout card. Oh, we do have 3 Imp Up. I didn't realize that. I was gonna say we could add an amp up, but amp up. No, if we have 3, we're fine. My bad. I thought we only had 2. I hope that's correct. It'd be awkward if this deck is inaccurate, but yeah, okay. Amp up is fine. What else would I take out? I think having 2 foamies in this deck is the case where we want just 2 foamies versus in the water deck where we want 3 foamies because we have so much water to search with the foamies out. Man, what else would I take out of this deck? I know I'm doing this a little bit on the fly. I didn't prepare for Lightning deck as much as I did the other ones because I don't play the Lightning deck as much. But I think the Lightning deck is definitely the best constructed, like, focused deck out of all the other decks that we have, which makes it why it's so hard to, pull stuff out of it. Uh, Signatric, I feel, is a little underwhelming in this deck. So maybe you take out a Signatric for if we get another Leica Vault. Signatric is generally going to be a 6/6, maybe a 7/6, maybe an 8/6 with not much going on. Whereas Leica Vault's got a lot going on and synergizes with the amp ups. Spark Hit's nice to have for the extra control stuff. So honestly, yeah, I definitely want to take out a Signature. Hopefully get an extra Leica Vault to put in there. Dan said something about Sonic War being added into one of the decks in the side 12 cards. So if we can go at Sonic Core, let me go pull them out right now. If we could just get 2 Sonic Core and pop them into this deck, that would be so good. Where is Sonic Core? This is supposed to be alphabetical. So you'd think I could do the English language and find it right here. Sonic Core, where are you? Yeah, this is all live. I'm not editing it out. There he is. All right, so there's our itty bitty Sonic Core that let's just let him grow up. So we're gonna have so we can just pop out those, pop out Tornado, pop a Pandora's Box, and plop Sonic Core. And if you guys don't know what Sonic Core is because you're only following the decks, your opponent can't enchant counter runes, and they can't use counter runes while Sonic Core is in play in attack position. He's really good if you have that lead and you don't want your opponent popping, their Shield of Achilles, their Poseidon, their Tsunami. So Sonic Core, I think, just give a Tornado, Pandora's Box, Trick, add in a Leica Vault and 2 Sonic Core. And I think that's all you need to make this deck a more competitive idea and a little bit focused. Other options you might want to take, you might want to take some P-Gust out and add Thunderstorms in. You might want to knock out a foam, like your foamies, and put like another Veritaqua in and like a Noggin. But I think something a little bit like this is a bit more focused. I think this is the best constructed deck for just doing the mid-range thing that the deck is trying to do. It's the only deck that feels like it's fully fallen into what it's trying to do. Like again, the Fire Aggro deck has a ton of control in it when none of the other decks have control in them. Like it made no sense that the aggro deck got the most control. So with this, it's like, okay, this is the mid-range deck. It's got some control. It's got good combat. It's got big creatures. It got, has some combat tricks with our Zeus and stuff. Like, it's a mid-range deck that does the mid-range thing well. I'm just thinking this now. Like maybe if we get I forget Sorlet instead of P-Gust. If you drop 2 P-Gust and get 2 Sorlet in to get some defense position manipulation for the Vertaquas, that would be good. But other than that, like as of what I am assuming we're getting, because I know Dan said something about Sonic Core, I think this would be a good place to put the deck at, or maybe add an extra Shield of Achilles. I don't think the Circle of Sky is as great in this deck because we're not really trying to Nexus stuff as much. But other than that, I think this is where the Thunder deck wants to be. I got 2 more decks to go. This one was a bit shorter because there's less to do, and I will see you in the next video.